Hi and welcome to another episode of Toby's Barbecue Corner. Today we're making a true classic, beef Wellington. Now what you need for it and how to do it, I'm going to show you in this episode. And this is what we need for today. Now obviously for our beef Wellington we need a fillet of beef, and this is truly a lovely one. It's obviously the most leanest cut that you can find. We need some salt, pepper, some olive oil, you need some mushrooms, and as we are not only doing a duxelle, which is basically the wrapping around the beef, but we're also going to fry up some mushrooms as well. I chose a few different ones. So we have our regular mushrooms here, then we have this type, and we have this type as well. So you can play around however you like. Now what else do we need? We need some parma ham, we need some mustard, we need some puff pastry. If you can get some chestnuts. Now that is optional. A clove of garlic, you need a little bit of thyme, and some egg yolk. We're going to start off with the meat, and what we're going to do is we're going to season it all around, some nicely ground fresh black pepper as well as salt. And really, do it from all sides, because it will add just a lovely flavor to it. Very nice, very lovely. Alright, so now let's put it on the barbecue. Into the pan some olive oil. And then we're going to put in the meat and give it a quick sear from all sides, but we're not going to actually cook it. So what you want to do is you want to really make sure that you brown it from all sides to get some lovely roast aromas. All done, and as soon as the meat comes out, we're just going to take a basting brush and we're going to brush it with mustard, give it some spice. Obviously you can use horseradish as well, but we're going to be using mustard. And then we're going to set it to the side, and so it has time to absorb the flavor from the mustard, so make sure you get it all around. And now I don't use a particular kind of mustard. You can use any mustard you want, Dijon, just your regular, however spicy you want it. And next up is our duxelle. So what we're going to be doing is we're just gonna take those mushrooms, throw them into a blender. And as I said, you can use, those regular mushrooms that you could find in your grocery, or if you go pick yourself. There are people out there who do. Now, I don't know enough about mushrooms to actually do that myself, and I find it's easier just to buy it in the store. And then I'm going to give it a little bit of a mix with a German mushroom that's called a Kräuterseitling. Now, I'm not entirely sure what that is in English. So you can look that up, or I might write it actually in the description of the mushrooms that we're going to be using for today. And then we're going to add a little bit of salt, pepper, as well as our chestnuts to it. Break them up a little bit, makes it easier on our Thermomix. And then we're just going to chop all of that up. Now don't worry, the rest of the mushrooms, as I said, they will get used at a later point in time. Oops, run away, chestnuts. I almost forgot the clove of garlic that we're going to be using. Just to make sure that we have all the ingredients actually in there. Just chop it up a little bit to get a more even spread in our Thermomix. Just throw that in there. There we go. And then, as I said, some salt, as well as freshly ground black pepper. And now we're going to chop it up. About 30 seconds later, this is what it looks like, and now this is going to go on the barbecue. We're going to put this into the same pan that we just seared our meat in, but I wiped down the pan because you want it as dry as possible. Because what we're going to be doing now is we're going to try to remove as much moisture as we can get out of these mushrooms. So obviously you don't want to add any further moisture into it. So spread it around a little bit. You don't want to fry it, but you just want to make sure it sizzles a little bit to get rid of the excess moisture that is in there. And this, guys, is really a crucial step in the process, because the less moisture we have in there, the drier it will be together with the puff pastry, so it won't get soggy, and it can then absorb all the moisture that comes out of the meat. After about 5 minutes of cooking, we're going to throw in the thyme. And you can use about 2 sticks, I would say. That should be absolutely sufficient. And I don't know if you can see, guys, but there are little spots, where the moisture is bubbling a little bit, so we're on the right track. So don't go too hot on it. Rather take your time to get it right. Right, our mushroom mix is done. It has lost sufficient moisture, and now we're going to spread it, as you can see here, and we're going to let it cool down until we can use it. Right, whilst the meat and our duxelles are hanging out and getting to know each other, let's take care of the rest of the mushrooms. Now, there's obviously not a whole lot to be done. You just clean them a little bit, and what I like to do is I just like to cut them in half, because obviously when you actually throw them into your cast iron skillet or whatever pan you're using, they will render down a little bit. So yeah, I just chop them up ever so slightly. Maybe the big ones will quarter, and then we're going to set them to the side until we need them. The meat has rested, the mushrooms are cool, so let's assemble. And obviously you need that lovely parma ham. And what you want to do is you want to basically create a bed, and you want it to overlap quite significantly. Make sure that you get it off this little foil that it's on in one piece. And then what we're going to do is we're going to season it a little bit with black pepper. Now, you don't need any salt, because obviously parma ham itself is already very salty, so no need to salt something that's already salty. And then the first layer is our duxelles. So we're going to put that on, and we're going to stay away about 1 centimeter, maybe a little bit more, off the sides. And then with a spoon gently spread it evenly, thinly across. Alright, nice and evenly spread, and now we're going to take our beef fillet. It has rested, and we're going to put it on just like that. Let me quickly wash my hands. And then obviously, as you can tell, we're using cling film, and really let the cling film do its work. So we're going to fold it over as not to lose the start, and then just lift it up and fold it over. Very gently roll it over, press on the parma ham a little bit. There we go. I know I'm going to roll out of the frame there in a second, but we'll get it back just like that. There you go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to spread the cling film a little bit. And to hide some of that mushroom that came out. So, just like that. And then what you want to do is you want to roll it as tightly as we can. Now we have a little bit of air in here trapped, so we want to get that out. And then we're just going to roll it, and then it's going to get into the shape that we're looking for as well. There we go. Just really roll it tight, and the tighter you roll it, the better this will then stick together. And with that, we're going to put it in the fridge. Now the nice thing is you can actually prepare that the day before. If you want, so you don't have to stress on the day that your friends or your family is coming. So I'm gonna finish this up, and then I'll see you in about an hour. Right, 1 hour is up, and we're now going to wrap it in the puff pastry. Now, because the puff pastry sheets weren't actually wide enough to be on the safe side that it actually covers the entire side as well, I'm using 2, so we have a little bit of an overlap. I hope that works out. And then obviously we're using cling film again, and now we're going to wrap it nice and tight as before. There we go. And we're just going to cut off the sides when we're done. And what we're going to do now, before we actually use the egg yolk, we're going to again wrap it nice and tight in the cling film that we already have, and rest it in the fridge for another hour, so that all ingredients really have the time to get to know each other before it goes on the barbecue. So again, roll it nice and tight so that it sticks nicely together. Right guys, our beef Wellington has rested sufficiently, so let's unwrap it. Obviously be careful not to tear anything, you know, so take a sharp knife, make it easy on yourself. Almost like a Christmas gift. There we go. Absolutely lovely, and look at that roundish style. So what I've done is I've beaten an egg, and we're now quickly going to baste our beef Wellington with the egg. Make sure that we get it all over, and then we'll have a lovely color. There we go. Obviously a bit messy, but the reason why I'm doing it this way is we will be resting this actually on a cedar wood plank, because that is what we'll be cooking it on today. So it was important to get it on the other side as well. And now we'll just finish this off, and then I'll show you what to do next. Alright, and then just for added show, we're going to scar the surface a little bit, but just be careful, really only scar the surface, do not actually cut through it, because obviously you want that meat to be protected. So tread very lightly when you do this. And this is really only for show. This has no taste purpose, so to speak, to it. So this is what we do. Now, as I do believe that with 200 degrees Celsius for about half an hour, 45 minutes, depending on how quickly it cooks, this will be fine, but I'm still going to use my trusted meter, So that's gonna go in there. And we're looking for an internal temperature of about 57 degrees. Well, I've created an indirect zone in between the two burners, so we're going to stick it on and let it cook. Now, to help the crust a little bit, what we're going to do is we're going to sprinkle some salt over it, and that will help firm it up and make it nice and crunchy. The meat has reached 50 degrees internal, and look at the color. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take off the burners. We're going to let it rest until it reaches that 57 degrees internal. And now we can take care of our mushrooms. Our pan should be nice and hot. Let's add in some olive oil. And then we're going to throw in our mushrooms. I'm going to add some salt and pepper. And I'm using the Flor de Algarve because I think it just adds a phenomenal layer of flavor to this dish. There we go. And now we're just going to cook it down. And in the meantime, our meat is resting, and then all of it should come together quite nicely. Alright guys, moment of truth, center cut. I am excited, but first of all, look at this, how nicely the puff pastry has turned out. So guys, I am excited. Ooh, it's nice and soft. Let's loosen it up from the bottom. It is struggling, I'm struggling. I don't want to break it apart. But check this out guys, I'm going to turn it like this. Absolutely fantastic. Alright, I'm going to carve this up now and I'm going to show you the final plate. And there we go guys, our beef Wellington, and we're going to dig in now. Alright guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video about the beef Wellington. It was super delicious, it was super juicy. You could really tell a little bit of the smoke that came through the cedar plank. Yeah, and with the mushrooms together, it was absolutely nice. So yeah, if you did enjoy the video, I would appreciate a comment and a thumbs up. Please head over to that subscribe button for more great videos to come. And I hope to see you soon again at Toby's Barbecue Corner.